HBCU Combine because most of the players are unlikely to get invited to the NFL's main combine, which starts Monday in Indianapolis. A healthy Kawhi Leonard is one of the reasons the Clippers have the third best record in the Western Conference. Leonard has played in 48 of the Clippers' 53 games. He's averaging 24.1 points and shooting at career-high 45% from three-point range. Keep your fingers crossed. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Viteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles district attorneys being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and we are thrilled to have you tuned into our program today. Thank you for sharing some of your time with us today. In this hour, I am pleased to be joined by cartoonist, Jumpstart cartoonist Rob Armstrong, to tell us how he turned his friendship with Peanuts creator Charles Schulz into Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin. It's a new special with the Peanuts gang. From Apple Plus, Charles Schulz immortalized Rob Armstrong in Peanuts as Franklin Armstrong, a character that Schulz introduced after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. We will talk about this new project in a moment after you hear some of the sound from Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin.
But here's what I'm into lately. It's John Coltrane. Listen closely, Charlie Brown. Jazz has harmonies that stay consistent. But pay attention, it has other parts that are always being improvised. Can you feel it?
I like it.
Rob Armstrong, I'm honored to have you on this program. How are you today, sir?
I am honored to be here. I'm well. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing remarkably well and just thrilled to be in conversation with you. Let me start with the obvious. I think it's the obvious, and then we'll work our way through this hour, and I'm so glad I have you for the hour because there's a lot to talk about with you today. Yeah. So tell me about this friendship. I am jealous. I am envious. Tell me about this friendship you had with Charles Schulz.
It began when I was very, very new as a young cartoonist. When I signed my deal, I was only 26. Mm-hmm. I was the youngest cartoonist with a contract in the country at the time. Mm-hmm. It was 1989. There were only 4 African Americans in the business back then. Not many more now, actually. Yeah. It's a strange kind of industry to pursue with not a whole lot of pioneers ahead of us. You know what I mean? So. Mm-hmm. When I got into the business, I signed with United Feature Syndicate, mm-hmm. and United Feature Syndicate happened to be the same syndicate that distributed Peanuts and Garfield and some other strips. But I had been following, Peanuts since I was a toddler, man. Mm-hmm. So when I signed my deal and it happened to be with United, I said, "Man, this is Charles Schulz's syndicate, man." So the ink was still wet on my contract when I leaned over to my editor and said, "Hey, listen, can you do me a favor?" She was like, "What?" I said, her name was Sarah Gillespie. I said, "Sarah, listen, I'm a big Peanuts fan. I would love to meet Charles Schulz. Can you introduce me to him?" And she said, "What are you saying?" I said, "Can you introduce me to Charles Schulz?" She was like, "No, I'm not doing that."
No, I'm not doing that.
No, she said, "I'm not in that." Tavis, she literally said, "I'm not in that business." Like, I understand that now. At the time, I was like crestfallen. I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Listen, every cartoonist who comes through the door would love that. I'm not in that business. I don't even talk to him all that much." It was one of those like Wizard of Oz type moments. You can't see the wizard, no way, no how.
Yeah.
So I said, I was sad. I was like, okay. She said, "Look, I'll tell you what. Why don't you send him, one of your cartoons? He loves that. I have to know that he likes that when young cartoonists do that." So I sent him an original Jumpstart. In my first month, I mentioned Snoopy by name. I was so, enthralled with the Peanuts legend. It's just an iconic. There is no thing to compare it to today. Actually, Peanuts still, as it was then, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
It's huge. So I mentioned Snoopy in one of my early strips, and about a year went by, about 8 months or so went by, and I met a guy who knew him. I met a guy who knew Sparky Schulz. People who know him call him Sparky. Mm-hmm. And this guy said, "I hear you're a big fan of Sparky Schulz." I'm like, yes. This guy, Mark Cohen, God rest his soul. So Mark Cohen said, "I'll take you by it." Just like that. "I'll take you by his place." I was like, "What?" And
hold that thought. He says, "I'll take you by." Rob says, "What?" We'll continue the story when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. a dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Spilled your drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Rob Armstrong coming your way right now. He is the Jumpstart cartoonist. So few African Americans are in this lane as cartoonists. We'll talk about that part, as we say, in just a moment here. But I asked Rob Armstrong moments ago, in case you just tuned in, how in the world did you get to be friends with Charles Schulz? I asked him that because, in part, we are celebrating a new special with the Peanuts gang from Apple Plus. It's called Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin. We ain't got to that part yet. We'll do that as well. Glad I've got Rob Armstrong for the hour. But he was at the apex of this story. He was telling us about how he finally got to meet Charles Schulz, much less become a friend of his. And so he owes that debt to a guy named Mark Cohen. So you run into a guy named Mark Cohen. Mark Cohen says, "Oh, I know Charles Schulz. I can get you to him." What happens next?
Yeah, well, Mark Cohen was deeply involved with the industry. He was a collector. He had a vast collection of original works and stuff. So, he was helping me sell my originals when I was very new in the business and no one knew me. So he was great for that. And so he was close friends with Sparky Schulz. And he said, "I'll take you by his place." Tavis, it wasn't his house. So one Snoopy place is where I had sent one of my original Jumpstart strips to him. One Snoopy place is not where he lives. It's where this campus exists, and it's hard to describe it. It's everything Peanuts. Charlie Brown. There's a cafe. There's an ice skating rink. There's an office complex. It's unbelievable. For me, walking in there, it was like Mecca. I walked in since I was born, I've been thinking about this. So I walk in, and the thing about Schulz, my friendship with him, is it immediately was more than meeting a famous. This was not the first famous person I had met. I'm not going to turn this into an hour-long name-dropping thing, but
go for it.
I've met some big-name athletes and movie stars. I've done that.
Yeah.
This was not that. I just knew immediately that this was a connection that would change my life. And the reason I knew it was that Charles Schulz never treated me as a fan coming into his presence. He never treated me as some guy looking for a photo op or anything. He treated my work, talked about my work with such reverence that at first I was thrown by it. I was like, what's happening right now? I sent him a strip called Hang On Snoopy. I'll be very blunt. Hang On Snoopy, very funny. There's a song called Hang On Snoopy, and in my comic strip,
I love that song. I love that song, by the way. Hang On Snoopy, hang on. I love it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hang on, right.
Yeah.
So Marcy, my main character, she's married to the cop, Joe, and Marcy's nurse, and they're at home, and she's singing hang on, Snoopy. Snoopy, hang on at the sink. She's washing dishes. And Joe walks in the kitchen and says, honey, that song is not saying hang on, Snoopy. It's saying hang on, Sloopy. And she goes, what? He says, that hang on, Sloopy. It's a very famous song. She goes, no, they say Snoopy. He goes, no, they don't. Trust me. Look it up. And he walks out. And then she stands there stunned and says, huh, isn't that weird that all these years I thought they were saying, hang on, Snoopy? And then there's a pause. And then she continues singing, hang on, Snoopy, as if he never walked into the kitchen.
Right.
Anyway, so I sent that cartoon to the show. I walked in. His office did not look like the rest of that campus. His office was unadorned with memorabilia or references to himself. There's nothing. It's a very humble, almost barren space. It just has his drawing table in there, his desk where he writes letters, a sofa, a bookshelf, literally. I'm not even making a story here. No exaggeration. Nothing's on his walls except one framed thing. Hang on, Snoopy, that cartoon I had.
Oh, Lord.
Was in a frame over his drawing desk, which I felt it didn't belong there. So I'm staring at this thing, and I made this really clumsy, ham-handed remark. I said, oh, okay, I see what you did. Thanks, I appreciate it. He said, what? I said, I guess you heard I was coming, and you had that frame real quick, or that, whatever. It was terrible. And he said, no, he said, Rob, no. Jumpstart is great, man. Jumpstart is great. It's got what Peanuts has. Great characters and great characters. That's the whole thing. I will never be able to unhear this man say that. It in moments when I have doubt or I can't figure out what I'm doing as a cartoonist, I think about that. And relying on my characters and not on myself is what makes my comic strip work, and it's exactly what makes Peanuts work, and it is exactly what makes Welcome Home Franklin work. You have to give your characters oxygen. You have to understand that they're not you. They're living a different kind of an adventure, you know. So he sat down and explained to me how he felt about being a cartoonist himself, what I should think about as I go forward in my career. And Tavis, I'm telling you, he never was condescending to me or pandering to my blackness or saying that I was a lucky guy. Even my own family and friends do that. I mean, he was not doing that. He was just saying, like, you're like, he saw himself in me. We had a strange amount of similarities. I didn't know all of that when I was sitting there with him. But we just had a lot of things in common. He was always talking about Jumpstart in the same way he was talking about Peanuts.
There's so many things. Let me just breathe for a second here, because obviously you're a great cartoonist and you're also a great storyteller, and I appreciate that in this medium that I am in. Storytelling makes radio work, so it's a beautiful story you told. But there are three things that sort of come to mind, and pardon me for a moment, because as I do this, because I say to people all the time, and I think you'll appreciate this as a cartoonist, because whether you have ever said it this way, this is what you do every day. It's what you do with Jumpstart. Every artist ought to have as his or her goal that when people see or imbibe your art, however that is, and whatever the art form is, my view is my own humble opinion. My view is that the ultimate goal is to get everyday people to situate their own humanity in your work. When your work connects to their humanity, when they can situate their humanity in your work and your witness, that's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot for me.
That's well said.
So I believe that with every fiber of my being. In that regard, as you were telling that story, I'm situating my own humanity, my own journey in the story that you were telling. And three things come to mind in that regard. Number one, I was asked perhaps the most brilliant question I've ever been asked in my entire media career, 30 plus years and counting now. And I've been interviewed more times, obviously, than I can count. I am an interviewer, I'm a broadcaster, I'm an interlocutor, but obviously, oftentimes over my career, I've been interviewed by everybody for the work that I've done. And somebody in one interview, Rob, asked me, They knew that Dr. King was my hero. As I say all the time to this audience, I regard Dr. King as the greatest American this country's ever produced. That's my assessment. And somebody asked me one time, if you met Dr. King, and you only had one question you could ask him. You met your hero. You met your this iconic hero of yours. If you met him and you only had one question to ask him, what would that question be? And I am rarely stumped, Rob. I am rarely stumped. But of all, you telling me all the things I'd want to ask Dr. King, I only get to ask him one question? They said yes. And I literally just sat for like 5. I said, I need a minute to think about this, man. And for like 5 minutes, I just sat there and I thought. And we were having dinner at a cafe outside on the streets of New York. And we just sat there, people walking by, and buses, trains, everybody. And I'm just sitting there thinking. And it finally crystallized to me what I'd want to ask Dr. King if I only had a chance to ask him one question as my hero. And that question would be, very simply, how am I doing?
Wow.
How am I doing? I'd want his assessment of how I am doing.
Oh my God, that made me, yeah.
I'm trying to do my part to make the world safe for his legacy. And I regard that legacy as justice for all, service to others, and a love that liberates people. I'm trying to do my part to make the world wrestle with and make the world safe for your legacy. My question is, how am I doing? I thought about that when you were telling me about meeting your hero, Charles Schultz.
Yeah.
The second thing that comes to mind, when you walk in and you see Schultz has your stuff on the wall, routinely on my program on PBS for 15 seasons, at the end of every conversation, or during every conversation, my staff photographer, who just happened to be the youngest son of Medgar and Merle Evers, Van Evers. Van was my staff photographer, and Medgar's niece, Sheila Evers, was my makeup artist. So the Evers family was all around me every day on my set. And so we would routinely take pictures with all of our guests. Van would, and by the time the guests left, thanks to technology, by the time the guests left, Van would give each of our guests a photo of them on set with me live in conversation. Now, for all the mugs and hoodies and all the other gifts we gave away, the thing people treasured was that photo.
Yeah.
So one day, I'm with my friend Prince. Yes, that Prince. Speaking of name dropping, I'm with Prince one day. and Prince and I, he wants to make a stop by somebody's house. And we pull up in this driveway, we get out, we walk inside, and lo and behold, it's the home of Joni Mitchell, the Joni Mitchell.
Amazing.
And we walk in, and I kid you not, they're sitting on Joni Mitchell's piano. Not on the wall, on her piano. Sits a picture of Tavis Smiley and Joni Mitchell. And I about had a heart attack. when I see this photo sitting on her piano. And then the third thing that came to me while you were telling that brilliant story is how so many of us, I'm going to keep it real now, especially I'm talking about Black America now. Mm-hmm. Rob is Black, obviously. I'm Black. Y'all Black. And so we all Black here. And well, not all of us, but, many of us are listening to this program right now. But many of us, I think, fall prey to this need, this desire for what I would call that normative white gaze, We want that. We crave that. And you're telling this story about walking into the home of your hero, Charles Schultz, because you celebrate his work, not because you're craving that normative white gaze. You want to meet this guy. But when you walk in that space, he does not treat you in the way that so many folk do treat us when we get into their space. And everything about that story you told, I found arresting. But that part right there, that he didn't treat you the way that many do when we get in their space because they know and believe that we are craving their white gaze, that's the part that knocked me off my seat.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would be really difficult later on because years will go by, and I'd hear people call him a racist and stuff like. There's a moment in one of the Peanut specials. I'm jumping ahead. I do realize.
Go ahead.
I'll circle back.
Go ahead.
There's a moment in the Thanksgiving Peanut special where Franklin is sitting on one side of the Thanksgiving table, and the rest of the Peanuts, including Snoopy, is on the other side. And when the internet was invented, so that happened in the 1970s. That was created, and the internet comes around in the 2000s, 90s, 2000s, and that thing goes viral. Everybody has a similar reaction to it. Particularly Black people have a similar response to it. Like, look at this over racism. Look at this segregation in peanuts. Charles Schultz clearly is a racist and all that. So I was confronted with having to defend that. I didn't have to defend it. I could have just piled on, I guess, and said, yeah, man, look at this. But I happen to know he was not racist. I happen to know not only did he treat me, and I'm not saying that because he treated me well. That's not a sign of anything. He treated me well because he respected my work. You know what I mean? But when he was putting Franklin into the cast of Peanuts in 1968, it was at the urging of a Jewish woman named Harriet Glickman, also a friend of mine. And she had written a number of letters to him. When that wasn't working, she had asked black people who were prominent to write letters. And Schultz considered it and relented. He was hesitant to do it, not because of his own biases against black people. He was hesitant to do it because he knew that white people would turn against him and that black people might mistake his intentions as pandering. So he had these two big things stopping him. He got over those two things. Submitted his week, the first week of Franklin. He's meeting Charlie Brown, and Charlie Brown's beach ball goes in the water, and he retrieves it and says, "Hey, I think this is yours." And Franklin and Charlie Brown become friends, little friends on the beach. It's very innocent and sweet. Well, that week of strips, when it landed on the desk of Schultz's editor, his editor said, "We're not running these." He called Schultz and said, "We're not running. We just sent in this black kid in here. We're not running these." And Schultz said, "Why not?" He said, "Because we have readers all over the country, and they're not going to receive this very well in certain states, and you don't need that kind of headache. We don't need that kind of headache. You don't need it." And Schultz said, "That's interesting. I quit." Yeah.
Hold that thought. They refuse. His editor tells him, "We ain't running no Charles Schultz Peanuts strip with a black kid in it, a little black boy named Franklin. We ain't having it. We're not running this strip." And Charles Schultz says, "I quit." Because Rob Armstrong knew Charles Schultz, he knows the rest of the story, and he'll share it with us when we come forward. And we ain't even got yet to the special. Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin. That's why he's really on. But this backstory is so rich. It is so amazing. We'll get to it, I promise. I'm delighted to have cartoonist, Jumpstart cartoonist Rob Armstrong right now on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, "Hey, we're not going to give up." And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. San Francisco's California's overall crime rates continue to decline. African-American Mayor London Breed says the sustained downturn is a result of improvements made last year by a coordinated and increased law enforcement effort between local, state, and federal agencies. Nikki Haley is criticizing the age of both of her political rivals. Haley argues that President Biden and Donald Trump are too old for any term. Haley said Biden and Trump don't exhibit normal behavior and argued neither of them is fit for office. Haley, the former South Carolina governor, is currently projected to lose to Trump in most polls by a wide margin. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 news. the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Can't wait weeks for your tax refund? Then don't. At Jackson Hewitt, get money today if you're approved for a no-fee refund advance loan on a prepaid card. Book today at jacksonhewitt.com. No-fee refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams and Chargers are among the 32 NFL teams that sent scouts to New Orleans this week for the HBCU Combine. The Combine continues today. 47 players from HBCU schools are getting the chance to work out for NFL teams in hopes of getting drafted in April. Only one HBCU player was selected in the 2023 draft. Jackson State cornerback Isaiah Bolden was taken in the 7th round by New England. The NFL would like to see that number go up this year. The league created the HBCU Combine because most of the players are unlikely to get invited to the NFL's main combine, which starts Monday in Indianapolis. A healthy Kawhi Leonard is one of the reasons the Clippers have the 3rd best record in the Western Conference. Leonard has played in 48 of the Clippers' 53 games. He's averaging 24.1 points and shooting at career-high 45% from three-point range. Keep your fingers crossed. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. If you say you care about the community, you have to also care about the climate. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, like a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in the combo. Single item at regular price.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency? You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com can help you get up to $3,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust, WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $3,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly into your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams, too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
We're for Washington. We love Febrez's new scent. Refresh and energize.
So much we made a song about it.
Trust to get at the truth.
Tavis Smiley.
That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It is not intentional, Rob Armstrong, I say to the audience, but we keep having these amazing cliffhangers in this conversation with you. The last cliff you left us hanging on was Charles Schultz telling his editor when he included this black boy named Franklin into the strip. His editor said to him, we're not running this. And Charles Schultz said what, Rob Armstrong?
Either you run it like I sent it or I quit. You know what, Tavis? We all have a hill that we would die on. Everybody has a stand, a position, a platform, whatever. But we're not asked to put everything on a line for it very often. I think at some point we might, but for many of us, it hasn't happened yet or whatever. We can just kind of make these proclamations, whatever. Yeah. But he put it all on the line. Now you have to realize this is 1968, and Peanuts was huge. He was already the most successful cartoonist the world has ever seen. And he told his editor that he had principles greater than him that needed to be held up. And it's something we can all learn something from. But for the sake of what I'm trying to point out right now, he's not a racist.
Yeah. No.
And when I met him, I just wanted, honestly, I would have been happy he was nice to me, just nice to me. If he was just like, welcome to my studio, whatever. The fact that I knew this was something more, believe it or not, more than even a friendship. I knew that something was happening. I could tell that something very serious was taking place. I didn't know exactly what it was. Yeah. I just knew that this was not a photo op. This was not a chance encounter. This was not a meeting of a celebrity. None of that. Yeah. And it wasn't even a friendship. It was a greater thing. So years would go by. Like he was very, he was interesting. He would call me sometimes just to talk about the process. You know, what are you working on? Like, how'd you come up with that?
Let me cut in for a second because you said something. You said something a moment ago that I don't want to run past too quickly. Because I think there's something there, and I want to interrogate it because I don't know the answer, and that's why I want to interrogate it. Because I get it. I suspect your answer may be instructive and informative, not just for me, not just for yours truly, but indeed for those listening right now. And that is, you said you knew it was something special. It wasn't just a celebrity photo op. It wasn't even just a friendship. It was deeper than that. That's your phrase. It was deeper than that. Yeah. What is deeper for Rob Armstrong than friendship? What is that deeper thing?
A chance to impact the whole world. So sometimes a friendship can be very personal. Like, hey, guess who my buddy is? You know what I mean? And you have benefits to that. That's not a small thing. Friendship is very important. This whole special, this Franklin thing is about friendship and the true meaning of it. But the chance to make a massive impact on the whole world, this comes around maybe once. And not in everyone's lifetime. Yeah. It comes about maybe once in certain people's lifetimes. It has happened to you. It's happened to certain people. So when I was in his presence, even not in his presence, just out to dinner or whatever, I had a sense that he felt that I had literally this seat at the table. It's really weird that Franklin would years later be accused of not having a seat at the table. But I thought he was giving me a seat right away at the table. Yeah. So about 4 years into our friendship, our phone calls are very sort of innocent, innocuous. They weren't that big. They weren't momentous. Sure. But one day he called me, and I could sense something deeper was happening. And he said, do you have a minute? I was like, yeah. I was in the middle of whatever. Sure, Sparky, I have a minute. He said, I'm doing a DVD, straight to DVD, Peanut special called You're in the Super Bowl, Charlie Brown. And I said, oh, congratulations. He said, no, I'm not calling to announce that to you, but thank you. That's not what I'm calling about. He said, in that special, each kid is called out by their first name and their last name to run out and do a football exercise. And I noticed that, Charlie Brown is called, and Linus Van Pelt, et cetera. I noticed that when Franklin when the PA announcer says, and now, Franklin, it's awkward because he has no last name. He said, you ever notice that? Does that bother you? I said, actually, I thought that was his last name. He said, no. His last name has never been revealed. I've never given him one. It's not right. I said, you know what? People understand. It's just fine. He said, no, it's not fine. I want to give him your last name. It's got a nice ring to it. What do you think of that? So it's like someone, Tavis, it's like someone saying, we're going to add a face to Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
How would you feel if it was yours?
Exactly.
You know, it's like, sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, so I was stunned. I said, listen, Sparky, you don't have to do that, man. That's so touching to me. Wow. He's like, I just want your blessing. That's all. I said, well, of course, man. I'm touched. I'm very honored that you would even think that. Good. Then he hung up, click, very abruptly. And next thing I know, this thing comes out on DVD. Franklin comes running out there with his helmet on. His whole name is in this DVD. Tavis, I was so taken aback by it. You're not even going to like what I'm about to tell you. Okay. To be honest with you.
Okay.
I was so taken aback by it that I didn't tell anyone. Wow. I didn't tell my friends to go out and buy this DVD. I didn't tell my wife. Guess what just happened? And then I didn't tell anyone. You know, I felt unworthy, to be completely blunt. I just felt, I don't know how all this has happened.
Lord.
I still had almost no fans. I was just starting out my career. I was in a handful of newspapers. I was still telling my relatives that I was a cartoonist. If you go to certain cities, you could see my work. Anyway, I just felt like it was too much. And I waited 12 years to reveal it to anyone. And I was giving a speech at the museum. His widow built a gorgeous monument to him called the Schultz Museum and Research Center. It's beautiful in Santa Rosa, California. And I was asked to speak there a few times. My very first visit there was 2006. He was gone for 6 years. And I was so thrilled. I missed him. I still miss the guy. And I was giving this speech, and I said, yeah, by the way, and I pointed at this thing on the wall with Franklin on it. And I said, yeah, by the way, that's my man right there. That's Franklin Armstrong. He was named after me by Sparky Show. And I just brushed past it real fast. I still felt weird talking. So his widow said, so the speech was over, and it was great. It was like 30 people, and they standing on their feet, applauding, standing ovation. His widow waited for the room to clear out and said, how come you never told me that? I said, Jeannie, look, honestly, I don't know. It's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, why would he even do it? And then I'm going to brag about it. I'm going to call my friends and brag about it. It's unbelievable, you know. She said, look, it's not bragging. It's changing the game. It changes everything, Rob.
Yeah.
It's very serious that he did that. Yeah. And sure enough, I don't know what happened after that, but the phone began to ring. I did NPR after that.
No, the story got out, man. Oh yeah, it got out.
It got out there.
it got out. That's how I know it now. I'm looking at my clock. I've got 15 minutes left in this conversation, and I still haven't gotten to Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin. It's the new special with the Peanuts gang from Apple Plus. I promise you, this is all Rob. Don't blame me. It's Rob Armstrong's fault. If his backstory weren't so fascinating, we could have gotten to this before now. But I know you've been enriched by this conversation as I am sitting in this chair. More with Rob Armstrong, the cartoonist behind Jumpstart, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on! What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam, from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows that Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and the Jump Start cartoonist Rob Armstrong talking about his new project, Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin. I got to ask you one final question. I want to spend the rest of our time talking about the special, and this will bring this thing full circle, I think. Why do you think that over the course of many, many years, and even in this moment, this present moment, there are and have been so few African-American cartoonists, Rob Armstrong?
Because there's no clear path to success. There's no clear path to the front door. I mean, there's just absolutely there's a dearth of opportunity to learn about it. It requires tremendous dedication to become syndicated, by the way. You have to almost have a past. In my case, I had a long history. I had sold my first cartoons as a teenager. Mm-hmm. So by the time I was pursuing syndication, I had done 4 years in college and at Syracuse University. I'd done a comic strip all 4 of those years for the school paper. So I had that portfolio. But having all these things in preparation for cartooning is simply unknown to the Black community. I'm actually involved with the Peanuts Worldwide organization with something called the Armstrong Project, named after myself and Franklin Armstrong. And we're just providing opportunity for HBCUs, Hampton and Howard, and showing kids how to get in, giving them internships, exposure to my world of animation and newspaper syndication. We've had 4 applicants win scholarships. Haley Cartwright from Hampton won the first year. So did Promise Robinson from Howard. This year, Jasmine Marsh from Howard has won the scholarship. It's like and Arthur Green from Hampton. It's like a $10,000 scholarship that they win each, and the school gets an endowment of $100,000. Each school gets an endowment of $100,000. So it's just a small. I feel like wow too, because I want to.
No, $10,000 for the students and $100,000 endowment to the school. That's a nice gift, brother. That's a nice gift.
Yeah.
I would take it.
When I was
in a heartbeat.
Oh my God!
When we come forward in our remaining moments with Jumpstart cartoonist Rob Armstrong, we will talk exclusively about this series I've been mentioning all throughout this hour. But you'll get more on it when we come forward. Snoopy presents Welcome Home Franklin. Rob Armstrong is on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single Silver Unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
All right, Rob Armstrong, in the time I have left, let's talk about Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, so Apple TV Plus has a streaming special called Welcome Home Franklin, and it's really just a stunningly beautiful piece. I mentioned early on I didn't feel worthy to carry this character's name or vice versa, but now I do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a great team. I worked with Craig Schultz, the son of Charles Schultz. I worked with his grandson, Brian Schultz. I worked with Neil Iliano and Scott Montgomery. So I didn't do this alone, but I just had a great team with me. Incredible soundtrack, man. Jeff Morrow, our composer, he used to have a beautiful soundtrack. Like it paid such homage to our culture, but it also pays homage to the legacy of Schultz, and it just carries forward something that he started in a beautiful way. And so far, the reviews have been really nice.
Mm-hmm. I've seen them. Yeah, they have been nice. Well, give me without giving too much away. Give me the top line. What's the storyline?
Franklin has an existing storyline. He comes into the strip. He meets Charlie Brown. There's a beach ball, and he returns to Charlie Brown, et cetera, et cetera. So he's got a backstory, but it's been given very little illumination. Like you don't know that much about him, and this answers all the questions about where he came from, his military background, his family moved around a lot. He never had a chance to make real friends. And he comes to this neighborhood, and he's like, I want to make friends. And he's been sort of raised by his grandfather. Actually, his grandfather has given him all this sage advice his whole life, and he follows this thing, chapter and verse. Like, here's how you make friends. You got to be a winner, and you have to do this and that. And it kind of speaks on a subtextual level about how we are as Black people. We come into contact with other races. We do it by a kind of a structure and a calculation. And we just can't be ourselves. We have to be careful what we say, how we say it. Yeah. So he's doing that, but it's innocent. You don't notice what I'm telling you now. I'm telling you how it was written.
Sure.
We can be we have to express ourselves a certain way to be accepted sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Showing that
there is a subtlety. There's a subtlety.
Yeah, but we have this rich thing to offer, and so he talks about for example, his uncle played in the Negro Leagues, and that's my uncle in real life. My uncle Eugene Benson played for the Philadelphia Stars, so he talks about his uncle, and Charlie Brown goes, I never heard of that guy. He said, well, he played for the Negro Leagues. And Charlie Brown says, what is that? And he explains, there was a time when Black players and white players couldn't, and Charlie Brown goes, wow, I didn't know that. A kid can learn so much hanging around with you, Franklin. It's just a way to.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it.
It's a loving way to talk about these issues.
That's the power of art, though, right? That's why I love art, man. I love it because there's so many creative ways to engage conversations that I can't do on talk radio, that you can't do in other spaces in our democracy. But I love the arts for that. I got about 60 seconds left. I'm celebrating you and the special Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin now on Apple TV Plus. 30 plus years later, how's the Cobb family doing?
I'm in a nice number of newspapers, man. It's not 40 papers. I'm in close to 700 papers now. And,
Jesus.
and it's nice to be recognized, not just for that, but for my outreach. And I'm the national spokesman for the Police Athletic League. Right. I want to bring police in contact with youth, and to be a part of the solution in any small way. I think that's our real obligation, for sure.
For those of you who are Jumpstart readers, and that's a whole lot of you in 700 plus papers across this country, you understand that Jumpstart is, it's really about discovering the extraordinary in the ordinary every single day. And Rob Armstrong does an amazing job with this cartoon strip, Jumpstart, as he's done with, my pleasure, brother. I mean every word of it. As he's done with Snoopy Presents Welcome Home Franklin on Apple Plus. Rob, I'm delighted in this, man. I knew it was going to be a great conversation. Certainly figured it would be, but it far exceeded my expectations. This has been rich. And for that, my friend, I say thank you.
Oh, thank you. You've done amazing things for our world. I appreciate you so much.
Good to have you on this program. Our program is done. Poof, just like that. 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.